Welcome to Radiant Realization with Navrita. Here we deep dive into captivating conversations about life. Today I have with me Mansi. Mansi is a relationship coach. She helps women to feel secure and find love for themselves, thereby create a healthy relationship. Welcome, Mansi. I am glad to have you today.
Thank you so much, Namrata. That's a lovely introduction for me. And I'm very honored to be here on your show to talk about what I deeply feel and feel connected with. So thank you so much.
So, Mansi, before we deep dive into today's conversation about how to help single women find love and create healthy relationship, I'd like to know what got you started in this domain and how did you decide to pick this as your coaching niche?
Interesting. So I am actually a chartered accountant by qualification, and coaching itself was never on the charts for me. But it so happened that while I was working, I started to feel depression and anxiety. And I figured that a lot of my own identity I was not acquainted with that got me on a healing journey. My own personal background of relationships, my never ending quest for seeking love. For as far as I can recall from my childhood, I was always seeking love outside of me. All of this combined put me in a very bad state in my life. So once I got on my healing journey, I healed and attracted a life partner who is a blessing in my life right now. And that's why I decided that I want to help other women as well to do the same, because I see so many of us struggling with understanding this dynamic of how to manage your career, relationship, how to attract good, healthy love in life. A lot of relationships are toxic, so I deeply feel for that cause and I want to help as many women as I can to accomplish this in their life.
Nancy, what is one major problem that you see today women are facing when it comes to finding their partner?
I think finding a partner is not a problem as much as it is to find the right kind of person. अगर आप आज dating app निकाल के देख लोगे, or if you go on a matrimonial site and there are varied options, it's not like the earlier times when women didn't have options. Right now we have options. The problem or the challenge is that we are not in touch with ourselves. When we connect with our soul and we know who we are and accept ourselves fully, then we can attract the right partner in our energy. But that disconnect of the self with the person is the major challenge that women are facing.
What key qualities should women look for? Because finding a right partner would come with the right qualities.
That's true. And for a very long time, I believed that ये checklist is not important. कि क्यों रखना है? Love should happen naturally and there should not be any effort. So all of these were my thoughts. And I know that a lot of women also have these thoughts, right? So if you have to be very neutral in identifying your kind of person, I believe the opposite person or the man that you want in your life should have openness. There should not be a rigidity. Openness to learning, openness to accepting you and himself. Okay, that is very important. Second is your compatibility of uh, understanding each other. How well can you be humorous around each other? How well can you be yourself around him? Like you're completely free. How does he treat you is very important. How does he prioritize you? Because क्या होता है ना, this is the most intimate relationship. When you get married to someone, this is the only relationship which comes beyond the cycle of life and birth. So it's very important कि वो trust, compatibility and सब exist करता हो वो relationship में, and openness हो सबसे ज्यादा, because see, both of you are not going to be perfect. when person A meets person B, there are going to be flaws, there are going to be, starting में नहीं समझ आता है, but as you go, तो वो समझ आता है कि यार this person is also flawed. Now at that juncture, after 2-3 years, when you realize the flaws of each other, both of you, both of you should have that maturity to hold the relationship in place.
While this single woman is on a journey of finding a right partner, how can she build her life so that she feels fulfilled till the time Prince Charming will come in her life?
I think, Namrata, the question itself can be tweaked around in a way कि समझो उसको, that a girl, a woman has to feel fulfilled with her own self. Till the time he comes मैं fulfilled, no, that means that you are still waiting to be fulfilled here. Deeply you are feeling यार मैं fulfill, मैं complete तभी feel करूंगी जब कोई मेरी life में आएगा. And these kind of relationships where you feel complete when you have someone else in your life are called codependent relationships. These relationships tend to be very unhealthy because you don't learn how to prioritize your own self and you give all the importance to your partner. So, whether you have a partner or not, you need to be fulfilled with your own self. Now, how to be in that fulfilled state when you are on your journey in your life? So, at no point can we say कि हमेशा 100% हम सही रहेंगे. Okay. Fulfillment is a lot about knowing what are your interests, what are your hobbies, what is your passion, what do you like to pursue, and your self-worth. Having a high self-worth in itself makes you capable of looking out for yourself, honoring your needs. आपको कौन से टाइम पे क्या चाहिए, आप सिर्फ इतना कर लोगे ना कि यू आर वर्किंग अ लॉट ऑन योर एस्टीम, सेल्फ एस्टीम, व्हाट योर नीड्स आर, व्हाट योर wishes are, you have your own dreams, you have your own individuality. Okay, then you are tend to feel fulfilled in your life, whether you have a partner or you don't have a partner.
What is the role of self-love?
Immensely important. You tell me, what do you understand by self-love?
I would say self-love is doing what you love doing, like not suppressing your desire. Uh, I would say sometimes pampering yourself is also self-love. Sometimes just idling and doing nothing is also self-love.
Okay, good. And I agree to an extent that it is self-love. It's a component. So taking care and pampering yourself is self-care. That's important. अपने खुद की ध्यान रखना. But self-love, as I see, is something that exists within us. बाहर नहीं जाना होता है उसको खोजने के लिए, because it is within yourself. It's just that we have forgotten how much love we were born with. As children, we are born with a lot of love, right? And in the journey of growing up, we tend to go and please other people. We tend to seek validation outside in our achievements. Okay. So self love is ideally realizing that you are worthy without your achievements. You are worthy without your validation from outside, without anyone telling you that, hey, I am proud of you. A lot of women I know will spend their entire life wanting to listen to that I am proud of you from her father or husband, and will go to any ends to please these figures in their life so that they can feel that you finally have received the love. But I would just like to say that the love was always existing. We just forget about it, and the best way to love yourself is to stop criticizing and judging yourself. The more we complain about judgment on others, the more we have to look within on how much am I judging myself, how harsh and critical am I with myself? Because when that stops, there is only love. With love, there is no judgment. Both of them cannot coexist.
India, Mansi, so in India, by the time you reach a manageable age, or maybe even before that, you tend to get a lot of societal pressure for getting married. And how would you recommend anybody to deal with this pressure so they are not clouded by any external thoughts and they're able to drive their life while at the same time finding the right partner or waiting till they meet the right person?
See, we need to approach this with a different mindset. Okay, what I realized is that I come from a conservative Gujarati family. So when I turned 23, my father started to discuss that now you are a CA, now you're working with EY, so let's start groom hunting phase. And I was completely shocked that I'm only 23. So I can understand that for women who are reaching their 30s and such age, the society is coming at us like mad dogs. कि भाई कब शादी कर रहे हो कब शादी कर कब शादी कर There are two aspects to this. One is how do we feel or what do we tell ourselves about? A, the conversation could be of self pity. कि यार सही तो बोल रहे हैं सब. When will I get married? क्या होगा मेरा? कब कोई आएगा? कब शादी होगी? And this is a conversation which we have with ourselves. To the world, we will show that I don't care. But this is the personal internal conversation we have with ourselves, which is harmful because then it starts to hurt you, right? And second is the second conversation that you can have with yourself is that it doesn't matter how old I am. What matters is, am I ready to take this step in my life? Because Namrata, what I have seen for myself and for others, mostly even when if you're groom hunting or even if there's lot of pressure and you feel like I want to settle, but there is a deep down commitment issue or a fear. लॉन्ग टर्म कमिटमेंट का फियर होता है, ट्रस्ट नहीं होता है ऑन दी अदर पार्टनर बिकॉज ऑफ some kind of story that they would have heard about bad marriages. They must have seen any kind of bad marriage or failed marriage, or there was a lot of chaos in their house growing up between their parents. All of this sets an example of a bad marriage for them. And with this picture in mind, वो conversation possibly नहीं होता है to have a good conversation with yourself. तो क्या हो जाता है उसमें कि when all of these factors are involved in your life, we feel that उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Okay, I want to get married, I want to get settled, but the deep down energy that you are carrying with yourself is, what if this guy is not, the right thing? And if there is a subconscious level पे commitment issue है, trust issue है ना, so even when you meet a good guy, first of all, getting into your energy, a good guy becomes a problem. And second, even if you meet him, you will start finding faults in that person. Even if you don't want to, like, मुझे तो शादी करनी है, लेकिन ये लड़का ही ढंग का. Okay. So what happens is कि actually अगर आपकी शादी नहीं हो रही है कहीं पे, तो it is you who is coming in between you and your ideal married life that you are visualizing, right? So the internal conversation you have with yourself again and again is ask, do I really want to get married? Do I really see myself? If I do, what are the fears that I am not addressing? What are the hidden subconscious beliefs that I am not looking at objectively? कई बार होता है कि यार शादी करने के बाद मेरी लाइफ खराब हो गई, तो व्हाट इफ आई डोंट गेट गुड इन लॉज, व्हाट इफ आई हैव टू डू एवरीथिंग, व्हाट इफ देयर इज नो इक्वल पार्टनरशिप इन द रिलेशनशिप. All of these are beliefs, subconscious beliefs, which are subtly playing around, which blocks the pathway for a good guy to enter into your life.
Interesting. Okay. While doing all this, working on ourselves and working on the belief, and also looking out to people through dating apps and meeting them in person. So during this phase, How would you recommend anybody to deal with their mental health when it comes to rejection or when it comes to dealing with your own expectation about the life that you want for yourself?
Hmm. Interesting question. So, first of all, dating apps are also a boon and also a curse, right? A lot of times, I know that women go on dating apps just to seek that validation. It's very easy to get validation on dating apps when you are not getting the right kind of person in your life and you don't feel good about yourself. तो आपने थोड़ा राइट लेफ्ट स्वाइप कर दिया, then there will be a series of men saying, hey beautiful, you are so lovely, and all those pickup lines, right? So temporarily we feel really good about it. Okay, so I want us to start looking at those conversations that we do and that we end up doing in our desperate need of validation. It's the exact time to reflect on yourself, on your inner self, that why do I need to do this? Why do I not find myself worthy enough that I don't have to fall for this trap? Second is about rejection. In the process, if it's, trying to find a groom on your own or through arranged marriage, rejection is a very common thing, and we have to realize that not taking it personally is the biggest gift you can give to yourself. I was rejected multiple times in my process of arranged marriage. Uh, and the reasons were also very weird. Sometimes it was her height is not that great, and sometimes it was she's a chartered accountant. That was a problem, that अरे ये तो बहुत काम करेगी, तो हमको थोड़ी घरेलू लड़की चाहिए. And you know how different people will have different set of expectations from their own life partner, which is okay, because आपको 100 में से 1000 में से सिर्फ एक ही चाहिए who wants exactly you, right? You don't want all 100 of them to like you, because it's a journey. If everyone starts to like you, तो आप ही बोर हो जाओगे. आपको इतने लोगों के साथ बात करनी पड़ेगी. And take it as God removing the dirt from your life by they rejecting you. Because I remember so many guys who were rejecting me were actually not my type. So if I would have taken it very personally, कि यार इसने मुझे कैसे reject किया, then that's me taking it on my ego. कि oh, he rejected me. And we have to understand that ये सब चीजें in teenage or in college and all was okay, when when we wanted that validation from people. But now that we want to settle in life, at that point we really need only one person to like us wholeheartedly. So our job is to keep looking for that one person who wholeheartedly likes us. अगर वो सामने वाला reject कर रहा है, सोचो कि आपका time बच गया. God is trying to filter out that from your life so that you don't have to deal with it.
Yes, this is very interesting, Mansi, and I could resonate to a lot of things that you said. So, Mansi, in dating process or while you are in a relationship, what are the red flags that any individual should be aware of? Or what are the green flags that we should actively look out for that will brighten our relationship?
So I'll tell you about the red flags, because sometimes these red flags go ignored. ध्यान नहीं देते हम लोग उस पे. First होता है jealousy or possessiveness. If a person, especially men, are jealous, possessive, or women also at the same time, हम लोग काफी टाइम उसको एज अ प्यार देखते हैं कि यार he loves me so much, he gets jealous when I talk to some other guy. But that clearly shows his insecurity. Start of the relationship वो अच्छा लगता है, but as you progress in life, that becomes a curse, because that guy is not secure with his own self, and that's why he is stopping you from talking to someone else. So first is that you have to look out for. Second is how consistent is that person in talking to you, whether he replies to you immediately or at least in a while. Most of the times, at least 80-90% of the time, he responds to you. कोई कोई लोग होते हैं, they don't reply till for a day two, they're like I was busy, I this that. So that's a lot of inconsistency and you don't want to settle for that, because उससे आप ही panic में रहोगे पूरा time. You will be anxious that why is this person not responding to me? So second is that consistency you need. Third is respect. Very important. Whether you agree with each other's opinion or not, it's important to agree to disagree and at the same time respect that this person has their own opinion. If I don't agree with it, it's fine. If that person does not agree with my opinion, it's fine. Because initial phases mein couples feel like compatibility comes from agreeing with each other's opinions. It's never the case. You can always have different opinions and still get along well. That's okay. But learning to draw the line becomes important. The next red flag would be कि कितना हम कमिटमेंट देने के लिए रेडी है, कितना हम ट्रस्ट शो करते हैं. If a person is not ready to give you that commitment, he keeps on tallifying a serious conversation, like let it go, चल रहा है अच्छे से चल रहा है अभी, why do we want to talk about something else while we are still trying to figure out and everything. So that's definitely not a good sign of uh, a healthy relationship. Another red flag is if there are no boundaries. If there are absolutely no boundaries in the relationship where you have to tag along everywhere he goes, you want him to come along everywhere you go, then that is a complete red flag that he asks you कि अरे तुम क्यों नहीं आ रही हो यहाँ पे, या why don't you feel the way I do. Suppose if he's upset, okay, and you are not upset about it or you don't understand why he should be upset about it, okay, but he cannot understand that why are you not upset about him being upset. There was a lot of to and fro, but I hope you get the point that uh, every individual need to take ownership of their own emotions. You cannot rely on someone else to take care of your emotions and feel the same things that you are feeling. That's called boundaryless relationship. So that is a complete red flag in the relationship. Another is controlling behavior. If the guy is trying to control you a lot about what you wear, how you should go out, how you should talk, or criticizing you, तुम्हें कुछ नहीं आता है, ये क्या कर रही हो, पागल हो क्या, बाद में से he will make it like a sugar coating thing के I didn't mean it, that was not my intention, I'm just trying to look out for you, I just mean the best for you. All of this sugar coating does not work if you are trying to control a person and criticize that person's behavior, because in a relationship we always look for acceptance rather than judgment. So that's very important. So yeah, these are some of the red flags that we can always keep our eye open for. In the initial phase it looks like कि ठीक है यार, मुझे बोला तो मेरे अच्छे के लिए ही तो बोला होगा ना, but that's where it starts.
Got it. And initially we are so much into getting approvals and everything that we said, okay, अच्छे के लिए बोला है, so just try and change ourselves to meet the expectations.
Yeah, exactly. We feel because we are from childhood we are taught how to adjust and compromise, adjust and compromise. As women we are always taught कि अरे तुमको थोड़ा तो adjust करना ही पड़ेगा life में. You can't have an opinion of your own. You can't have a mind of your own. That's something we are always told, right? So it becomes very difficult when in a relationship we enter and our partner criticizes us for something. We happily accept it because we know कि अरे कुछ तो flaw है ही मुझ में. तो अगर मुझे बोल रहा है तो अच्छे के लिए ही बोल रहा है.
See, that we should actively look for, because many times ऐसे होता है ना, good qualities of people we tend to overlook because some bad incident or one bad thing, one bad experience with that person.
So good qualities is always open and honest communication becomes my first and foremost priority. You need to be able to express yourself and you should have that space. It should be a very fun, easygoing conversation where you don't have to uh, uh, fear judgment or You don't feel like the other person is not trying to take an initiative and interact with you. So if there is open and honest communication, तो बाकी सब चीजें please less priority पे रखो. Second aspect is that uh, does he value you and appreciate you? It could be in the very small things, as when you give your opinion. Is he valuing it? Is he looking, uh, appreciating to understand कि अच्छा she also has a opinion of her own. तो उसको वो ज्यादा भाव देता है या उसको साइड में साइडलाइन कर देता है कि हाँ हाँ ठीक है ठीक है. So if that appreciation and value is what you are receiving, a lot of times we put efforts in the relationship, efforts to connect with our partner, efforts to do something special for them. And if that is not reciprocated with appreciation, it breaks our hearts. So if a person is valuing you and appreciating you, it's a huge green flag. The other green flag is, um, I would say, non-judgmental conversations are important. Other green flag would always be giving you the space to be yourself. Even if they are soft, shy, polite, uh, are they allowing you to be yourself? Are they giving you that space and asking you, are you comfortable? A lot of men don't do that. They don't ask the female कि सब सही है क्या नहीं आपके साथ, right? So even if that person is not really completely opened up with you yet, but if they are giving you that space for you to be yourself and looking out for you, if you are comfortable or not, if your needs are being met or not, if he asks you that, hey, do you need, if he asks for genuine feedback, okay, is there something that you would want me to do better? Huge green flag from my end.
Uh, while looking at all this dynamics in other person or even demonstrating your personality to other person, how do you build conversation with your partner that you are emotionally satisfied while having those conversations?
The primary key, Namrata, lies in how well do you know yourself. I would keep it at the top because most of the times we don't know ourselves well. तो जब हम खुद को नहीं जानते हैं तो हम सामने वाले की ओपिनियन और पर्सपेक्टिव, ओके, दैट इज फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी कि आप खुद को जानो सो दैट यू आर नॉट ब्लेमिंग द अदर पर्सन फॉर योर ओन इमोशंस, फॉर हाउ यू फील, because what you feel becomes your responsibility. So one is take responsibility of your emotions and be connected with yourself. And second would be, um, understand that there are always different perspectives of the same thing. Everyone is wearing a different lens. Someone is wearing a blue colored lens, someone is wearing a pink colored lens, and someone is wearing a black lens. Now, if you try to convince all three people that the world is this one color, it is never going to work out. So we have to always, in a relationship, we have to always see that every person has his or her own reality. That is their own perspective, the lens that they are wearing. And from that lens, अगर आपने blue lens पहना है तो आपके लिए दुनिया blue ही है. अगर मैं आपको कितना भी convince करूं कि look the world is pink, you will never be able to see it that way. So understanding and having the understanding that there could be multiple perspectives to the same thing is very important, and you both don't have to agree to the same perspective. You could give ideas, you could, have that exchange of communication wherein you say, but what I feel that I see it this way, and he would say that I see it this way, and you both acknowledge and appreciate each other's perspective, because how beautiful is that relationship where you can see the same thing with two different eyes.
The world in a better light.
Yeah, definitely. You can start seeing the world from a different angle, because honestly, हम भी जो चश्मा पहने हैं ना, वो हमारा खुद का नहीं होता है. It is built with the conditioning of society, the conditioning of Bollywood, the conditioning of our parents. Majorly, all our perspectives belong to our parents. They are not our own. So जो मैंने point number 1 बोला था कि जब आप खुद से connect करते हो, that is when you are actually developing your own perspective. So one is the perspective of your parents and society and Bollywood that you are walking around with कि ऐसे दुनिया चलती है, right? Because that's the meaning you have given to a particular situation. And then your partner will come along and he will have a different, completely different perspective on things based on what he has learned in his upbringing and conditioning. तो दोनों का क्लैश अगर नहीं होना है तो वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग ही बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है ना, कि दोनों के पर्सपेक्टिव are going to be different because we are coming from very different places. And when you start to look at yourself and become curious about, ये तो मम्मी ने सिखाया था कि ऐसा होता है, what do I feel about it? When you start searching for answers that ways, now you know that this is my perspective. And similarly, if my perspective can be different from my own parents, my partner's perspective can be different from mine. अगर इतना अंडरस्टैंडिंग हम सबने ले लिया ना, relationships will be beautiful.
Yes. Ability to accept other person is more important because we feel everybody should be
Correct.
like us only.
हाँ, हमको चाहिए कि सबको दुनिया पिंक दिखनी चाहिए.
Okay. Mansi, you did talk about boundaries and not having boundaries or having a healthy boundary. So, according to you, what it means to have a healthy boundary? And in which aspects of life should we have boundary with our partner? Because we have to share everything with our partner.
Namrata, I would say that boundary is not about sharing. आप communication वाली boundary अलग होती है. And the boundary which I am talking about, which we need, is kind of fencing which keeps us protected. So there should be a boundary on giving, because women are the biggest givers, ठीक है? But in reality, women are born as receivers. We are not givers. We give back multiplied what we receive. But for that, first we need to receive. But culturally अभी ऐसा हो गया है ना, that women are considered the epitome of sacrifice and a giver in nature, right? So now what happens is that we keep on giving without receiving anything in return. So there has to be a healthy boundary on how far do you go to please a person. There should be a strict boundary on it. Even though your self esteem is not yet high enough, even then you have to decide that I do only these 5 things for him and I put a stop to that point. The second boundary should be in communication. How do you communicate when you are angry? How do you communicate when you are upset? There has to be some strict ground rules around those aspects. बिकॉज क्या होता है ना, हमारे कल्चर में अगर कोई गुस्सा है, स्पेशली व्हेन अ मैन इज एंग्री, इट्स जस्ट कंसिडर्ड कि अरे उसने गुस्से में बोल दिया, तुम इग्नोर करो. बट वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट इट्स नॉट अलाउड. दैट्स व्हेयर I draw my boundary, that even if my husband is angry, he should know how to communicate better. Even if I am angry, I should know how to communicate better. Because women also, out of our own anger, we start to blabber things which we don't mean. And then बाद में अरे सॉरी, अरे प्लीज समझो मानो करके मनाने लगते हैं. And you know, we go all the way to it erodes our self respect even further. पहले तो हमको लगता है कि यार मुझे नहीं समझ आया कि क्या बोलना था क्या नहीं, एंड सेकंड अभी इतनी माफी मांग रही हूँ फिर भी कोई माफी नहीं दे रहा है, राइट? So communication, how do you communicate when you are angry, frustrated, annoyed? Very important to draw boundaries there. Third is learning to say a no. Very important. Learning to say a no when you don't want to go out, when you don't want to do a particular thing together. Maybe it's even if it's entertainment. Like some days I don't want to go out and watch movies with my husband, so I say that no, I don't want to do that. It becomes very difficult for a woman to say कि नहीं मुझे ये नहीं करना है, या मैं नहीं आऊंगी, या मैं नहीं तुम्हारा कुछ काम करूंगी. um, but it's important when because it helps you preserve your own sanity. अगर आप सब कुछ सबके लिए करते रहोगे तो who is going to do for you? And most of the times we do things for other people, and men in our life or other people in our life, only because we want back that validation. We want them to appreciate us, we want them to love us, and we feel that by doing these things, by cooking his favorite meal or by listening to him all throughout, I am going to receive that validation and love from him. But that does not come that way, and it only leaves us more and more depleted. So these are the boundaries that I'm talking about. आप share करो ना, आप सब कुछ share करो. In fact, I believe that password से लेके your exes, everything should be known to your partner. You both are trusting each other for life. Why do you need to hide those things? You don't need to hide anything. When you start hiding, there is this trust which starts to go away from the relationship. And you also feel very bad. We have a conscience. So if we lie to someone, our conscience gets hurt. If our conscience gets hurt, we cannot live with our own self. We start to feel guilty. So sharing, communicating is very important, but how you do it, how far do you go, all of these factors are very important.
So, Mansi, what I liked really from this is boundaries are different from hiding, because many times it is being interpreted like I keep a boundary, which means there are some aspect about my life which I don't share, or something, some time that I spend doing something, or something that I buy which I don't want to let my partner know. But that falls under hiding category. Boundaries are anything that gives you peace and even keeps relationship much alive. So, once having checklist and uh, understanding ourselves, what we need, at the same time setting boundaries. While doing all this, sometimes we come across people telling us you have to let go few of your criteria, like adjust on something. So in this journey, how can a woman ensure that she is not settling for anything which is less than what she deserves, just because there are external voices which are telling her that these criteria are something that would never get fulfilled? So how do we as a woman know our self-worth, and then we understand that yes, this is what is correct for me?
Self worth के लिए तो you need to work on your own healing or emotional healing, because that's the only pathway for you to increase your self worth. Okay. Second is, I have a beautiful way of designing this, which I used for myself, and it worked wonderfully, because I wanted a lot of things. Like I wanted a guy who was very independent on his own, a family who was, very loving and kind. Other aspect was they should, not have any problems with me working, because a lot of Gujarati families have problems with the women working, and I was very ambitious. So I wanted a good looking guy, and I wanted a spiritually inclined guy, and the list was endless. पहले मुझे लिस्ट बनाने में प्रॉब्लम होती थी कि नो 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 दैट्स नॉट राइट, बट व्हेन आई एक्चुअली लर्नड द art of manifestation, I understood that having a list is really important, because you are giving a clear idea to the universe what do you want. So A, please have a list. Second, how do you prepare a list? Okay, you write down everything that you can imagine with your life partner and in your life partner. So I had made a complete list of, I want him to be kind, loving, caring, generous, good looking, and independent and educated, and everything that you want, you put down on the list. Okay. And then you may bifurcate into a negotiable and a non negotiable list. Okay. So negotiable list is something that is okay. मिला तो भी well and good, नहीं मिला तो भी ठीक है. नॉन नेगोशिएबल इज समथिंग इस अगर ये चीजें नहीं है तो मैं शादी नहीं करी उससे. Right? So it's very important to bifurcate. Having a list is okay, having a list of expectations is okay, but your non-negotiables should not be more than 5. Because then you start to focus on the real qualities of a guy and also have clarity, deep clarity around what do you want. अगर आपकी लिस्ट मैंने पूरी रखने दी नॉन नेगोशिएबल, तो फिर आप ना उसी में से लूप होल निकालते रहोगे फॉर योर ओन लैक ऑफ कमिटमेंट. देन यू विल फाइंड फॉल्स इन द गाय कि मेरी लिस्ट में से ये नहीं है, ये नहीं है, नहीं है, जस्ट बिकॉज यू आर डिनाइंग टू वर्क ऑन योर ओन सेल्फ. सो these two things make life very simple. कि ये मेरी नॉन नेगोशिएबल की लिस्ट है और ये मेरी नेगोशिएबल की लिस्ट है. नॉन नेगोशिएबल नहीं होगा तो मैं शादी नहीं करती. नेगोशिएबल्स में से अगर कुछ है नहीं है, आई एम. एंड marriage is not the end, it's just the beginning. So when it's just the beginning, you have a lot of time to evolve and grow with a person. Like I am very spiritually inclined. I meditate a lot, an hour or so. At that time when I was groom hunting, I was meditating for 2 hours a day. So at that point I'm like, यार कोई नहीं समझेगा अगर मुझे, तो बोलेगा अरे. एंड पीपल यूज्ड टू कॉल मी, अरे बाबा बाबा है क्या कुछ, तू इतना कैसे मेडिटेट करती है. So all of that was coming my way. So I knew that I needed someone who could understand, that I meditate and that's important for me. B, that I work on myself. So I wanted someone who was also inclined in self work and self development aspect. So वो मेरे लिए बहुत important था. Third ये था कि मुझे काम करना है, ambition था मेरा. तो that should not be a problem. तो ये मेरे 3-4 चीजें ऐसी थी ना कि दोज वर नॉन नेगोशिएबल्स. उसके आगे पीछे, इफ इज रिच और नॉट रिच, इफ ही इज हैज अ जॉब और हैज अ बिजनेस, हाउ, I don't know whether he parties, whether he drinks, whether he doesn't drink. All of those were my negotiables. How does he look? And all of those were my negotiables. But non-negotiables were very few, and it has to be a handful so that you are also very clear on what you're looking at. And also, you asked me about how to deal with people around, right? So, darling, when you are so clear in your what you want and what you don't want, then you have to just cancel out those noises which are going to tell you. It's just like how you cancel out your fear, uh, beating up that fear. It's just a negative voice which only echoes your own disbelief. बाहर वाले लोग आपको तभी कुछ बोलेंगे जब आपके अंदर वो बिलीफ नहीं है that you are going to get it. 5 times you tell them that it's my business, I'll take care of it. 6th time they won't tell you.
Also, Mansi, a lot of times it so happens, um, parental relationship experience, like how parents were with each other, or even our past relationship, or even experiences that we have seen of our friends, loved ones in family. How does all these experiences impact an individual's outlook towards life, towards relationship, and how to heal from this?
A mirror of our of who we are inside. It is only serving us as a mirror. अगर आप खुद को हेट करते हो तो आपको वही दिखेगा कि दिस पर्सन हेट्स मी, दिस पर्सन डज नॉट लाइक मी, दिस पर्सन इज जजिंग मी. इट्स बिकॉज यू आर डूइंग इट ऑन योर ओन. नाउ वेयर हैव यू लर्नड दिस holding judgment and criticism for yourself? You have learned it from your parents because they have held that judgment and criticism on you, or you have heard them speaking about you. So all of that mental chatter that goes on inside our head is actually the different voices of our parents and society. So सबसे crucial role, our entire relationship gets formed of based on what we have learned from our parents. उनका मैरिज कैसा था, उन्होंने हमारे सामने कैसा एग्जाम्पल सेट किया, राइट? एज चिल्ड्रन we need a good model in front of us to be able to understand what a good marriage is. Because what is shown in Bollywood is all bullshit codependent relationships. They are not real marriages. Okay. And what we see in our life, mostly in India, um, there are not a lot of good marriages in our parents' generation. Although they survived it, but they are not necessarily the best examples. So it immensely impacts you because agar aapke father, very simple thing I would tell you that my father had this habit of putting things here and there and then keep on asking कि अरे किधर है ये किधर है वो. Now if my husband does the same thing, I will get super triggered. Although he is not the same as my father, I'll start perceiving him as my father, and everything that was wrong with my father, I'll start looking into him. Okay. So every little thing, even though we don't realize, it comes from our parental relationship. What kind of relationship did you have with your own parents? So, what kind of relationship a woman has with her own father determines the kind of relationship she will have with her husband. And what kind of relationship or marriage was modeled by the parents will set an example of the marriage. फिर आप कितना भी बोल लो कि नहीं, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू बी माई पेरेंट और आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू बी लाइक माई पेरेंट्स, unless and until you are going on a healing journey of discarding every emotion that you hold in your heart against your parents and whatever you have learned from them. आप जब तक वो सारी एनर्जी और इमोशन डिस्कार्ड नहीं करते, तब तक आप उसको रेप्लिकेट करते ही जाओगे अपने लाइफ. इवन दो यू डोंट वांट टू डू कॉन्शियसली, यू नो आई डोंट वांट टू डू दिस. एंड जब आप वो कर लोगे ना, आप जब भी चीख लोगे चिल्ला लोगे अपने रिलेशनशिप में, देन यू विल बी टायर्ड एंड यू आर लाइक आई नेवर वांटेड टू बी लाइक माय मदर. But then you will still end up being like her because your subconscious learns a lot through modeling and emotions. लॉजिक तो सिर्फ कॉन्शियस माइंड में होता है हमारे. So it's very, very, very important, and it's the only way to have an amazing relationship is to heal yourself, to have a deeper connection with your own self, to lay ground rules for your own marriage. Okay, this is what are the ground rules of our marriage, and this is how we play by it. Also, please have the courage to look within yourself every time you have a fight with your partner. Blaming your partner does not solve the problem. And self-blaming, taking guilt also does not solve the problem. What solves the problem is looking at why did I get angry? Did I feel abandoned? Did I feel rejected? Did I feel blah, 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 blah? There could be a number of emotions that we could feel. Which emotion did I feel? Where in life have I felt this emotion before? And then releasing it through different activities. Forgiving your parents, cutting cords at an energetic level. All of these things are very important processes to have a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship.
But I really liked the example that you gave around healing and role of healing that is most important. And I acknowledge the previous generation, since there was a segregation of duty and both needed each other, the relationship survived. Yes, that's true. Okay. Mansi, I am really enjoying this conversation that we are having, and you are bringing in real life experiences and real life observation around relationships. So, kudos to you for being, like I would say, I really like the way you are bringing things out because it is extremely relatable.
Wow, I'm glad.
Okay. Oh, Mansi, now communication is one of the key thing, right? When it comes to relationships.
Yeah.
So according to you, what would be a few best practices around communicating your needs and desire to your partner?
I think something which is basic is while you communicate your feelings to someone, ability of it, say I feel rather than saying you made me feel. So I statements are very important while communicating. Second is listen to hear, not just to respond. Please, it's crucial, and most of the times we forget it because जब सामने वाला बंदा बोल रहा है, हम इतना ज्यादा बिजी है थिंकिंग कि अब इसको क्या रिस्पॉन्स देना है. हाउ कैन आई पुट माई सेल्फ अबव this person, and how can I show this person that I am right and he is wrong, and wo anger and everything starts building and you stop listening, and when you stop listening, the emotion of that person gets missed. Something very important, I think Vicky Kaushal or someone had said this, कि जब वो बोल रही है ना, प्लीज उसकी बात, उसकी इमोशन को समझो. पुट योर लॉजिक असाइड and just listen to her emotion, because whenever someone is vulnerable in a relationship, they need that space to be themselves, and you can only offer that space when you are out of your logical mind. If you are only giving logic to how they should not feel like that, it's basically denying and invalidating their emotions. तो वो बहुत जरूरी होता है कि आप सामने वाले के इमोशंस को इनवैलिडेट नहीं करते हो. अ लॉट ऑफ men have this habit where they say कि तुम्हें ऐसा फील होना ही नहीं चाहिए, क्यों हो रहा है. That's not an ideal way, because you are completely invalidating your partner's feelings. You are not giving them any value, any credit for the way that they are feeling. Okay, maybe she's right, maybe she's wrong, and it could go for women also. But women generally are better listeners than men in a relationship, is what I've observed. So, yeah, these are, I think, two, three things only you need to be really careful about. First, take responsibility of your emotions while you're communicating. Second, put your logical brain aside and look at that person's emotion. The communication should be in emotion. And third, uh, listen properly. Don't listen just to respond to that person. Uh, ये अगर तीन चार चीजें भी हम लोग ध्यान रख लेना, तो relationships will become very smooth.
Like talking from your perspective, what are your feelings and not blaming other person for not understanding you?
Yeah, and also not blaming the other person for saying that you make me feel bad. No one has that power. तुम्हें अपने आप ही बैड फील हो रहा होता है खुद के बारे में, and then you project it on your partner, and then you say that my partner makes me feel bad about myself, and that's why the divorce rate in urban India is so much higher compared to earlier times. The reason is not that women are independent, but the other reason is also the lack of understanding and tolerance. टॉलरेंस डज नॉट मीन कि आप वायलेंस और अब्यूज टॉलरेट कर लो. टॉलरेंस एट अ लेवल ऑल्सो मीन्स कि आप इमोशंस को खुद से डील कर रहे हो. यू नॉट पुटिंग ऑन द अदर पर्सन टू डील विथ योर ओन इमोशंस. हैप्पी इफ ही takes me out on dates, then those things, then what's the point of it? Sometimes men are not able to take stand for you. At a level, we need to start taking stand for our own self, but also help them get better on that aspect. अगर वो बिल्कुल भी नहीं समझ रहा है, if your partner is not at all supporting you in any way, not worth it. Definitely support is important, but learning to communicate why that is happening, how can you make it better, makes a hell lot of difference. हम लोग खुद ही अपने फ्लॉज को छुपाने में इतना बिजी हो जाते हैं, वी गो इनटू कंप्लीट हाइडिंग कि नहीं नहीं, what if this person sees my flaws, so we go away from communication, because communication requires vulnerability. Building a good relationship requires vulnerability. अगर आप vulnerable नहीं हो वो इंसान के साथ, if you are not putting your complete self out there without fearing rejection of your emotions, then then your relationship will not be very healthy. And at the same time, when your partner is being vulnerable, hold space for them rather than judging them or putting logic or invalidating their feelings.
Yes. Yes, Mansi. So this is really interesting to know how to create safe space in a relationship. So both partners can be vulnerable and at the same time they feel comfortable. What they spoke would not be used against them. Okay, so
Yeah.
Mansi, I would say last one question that I would like to know your views on is there's a lot of stigma around being single after you reach 30s or by the time you're in your early 30s. How can a woman deal with such situation? Because there's a lot of labeling going on.
Hmm. That's a societal cultural flaw that we unfortunately have to deal with. Ideally, a woman's worth cannot be linked to her marriage any longer. There was a time when it was important for the woman to be married and have a family of her own. Right now, also, I would say that it's important to have a healthy relationship in your life, but only at a time when you are ready, when you have worked on yourself, and you find a partner with whom you can grow and evolve. आप ये भी वेट नहीं कर सकते कि पूरी जिंदगी आप खुद पे काम अकेले अकेले करोगे बिकॉज हैविंग अ पार्टनर क्रिएट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल स्पेस फॉर यू टू वर्क ऑन योरसेल्फ and dealing about the stigma that the society gives. I think turning deaf ears and not taking it personally. Very important. Engage yourself in hobbies and things that you like and things that bring joy into your life. And आप जितनी जल्दी अपने अंदर से वो निकाल दोगे ना, feeling lonely and incomplete without a partner, the better you will be able to deal with the stigma of the society. Most of the times that stigma hurts because that hurt is lying in us. That hurt exists in us. हम खुद ही खुद को बहुत harshly treat करते हैं for not having a partner. We feel incomplete. We feel uh, like something's missing and unfulfilled in life. Our reality only reflects that for us. If you are very comfortable with who you are, and if you are still choosing to be single because you are not getting a companion worth sharing your life with, uh, the society का बोलना आपके कान पे पड़ेगा नहीं इतना ज्यादा. आपके कान तक आएगा ही नहीं वो कट ऑफ हो जाएगा. That's what I personally believe. And I have personally seen for myself that there were older men in my family who used to say कि अरे शादी के बाद नौकरी वगैरह कोई नहीं करने देता है. If you want to go in a good family, good house, you have to forget about working and all. कर लिया ना शादी से पहले 4-5 साल काम अभी क्या है. All that nonsense I have heard from people. And yet I said that maybe they really don't understand the life I want to live, and it's not my job to make them understand. And the same goes for women who are single. You're choosing to be single, and it's not your job to explain that to anyone or make them understand about your own life choices. वो आपको हर्ट इसीलिए करता है क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं आप अभी तक उससे कंफर्टेबल नहीं हुए. अपने रियलिटी को आप अपने आप को डाउट करते हो. आप अपने कैपेबिलिटीज को डाउट करते हो. तो गुड चांस फॉर यू टू स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन दोज थिंग्स because your reality will only give you a mirror of what's going on inside you.
And this is
Right.
a very powerful statement. Your reality will give you what is going inside. Like what is happening around me is what is happening inside me. So the time is that I have to introspect what is going inside me, which we tend to overlook most of the time.
Yes, and I would say that if you want to have good, loving, healthy relationship with yourself and with others, it all starts with you working on yourself. Because जब आप खुद पे काम करते हो तो आपका एक रिलेशनशिप खुद से अच्छा होता है. See, when I am so kind with myself, okay, that when I make a mistake, I tell to myself that it's okay. How else was I going to learn? Let me try something new. I am going to allow that to my family partner as well. If he makes a mistake, I'm not going to take a danda and say, sorry. So I am not going to, I can only, I can only treat someone as well as I treat myself. I can only love someone as far as I love myself. If you say that you love someone more than your own self, it's a lie. You don't love yourself, you don't love that other person also. You can only love someone as much as you love yourself. So, focusing on yourself, loving yourself, treating yourself with kindness will all start reflecting in your relationships. एक simple example है that me and my husband started our businesses together. Okay, now he's pretty harsh with himself whenever he's not able to get some numbers or uh, the revenue that he's expecting. So he will bash himself up, and that reflects in our relationship is because when I go telling him कि यार this thing didn't work out or this thing failed, he will have the same tone for me कि यार कब करेगी, कब सीखेगी, कब होगा. That was starting में, but then I had a very kinder tone with myself that if I don't make mistakes, how am I going to learn? So I could give that support to him that listen, it's okay to not reach that figure. It's okay to make a few mistakes and we are all flawed. So that kind of rubbed on each other now. Now he reminds me if I am being harsh to myself कि और कैसे सीखना था तुझे, थोड़ा तो होना ही था. So I think that once we start holding space for each other's darker side, we allow the softer side to bloom slowly. Now he's also kinder to himself. He tells himself new stories about how it's okay to fail, how it's okay to be flawed, how it's okay to take things slowly. ये सब stories वो खुद को भी देता है and मुझे भी याद दिलाता है. So that's how relationships evolve and change when you are ready to hold space. अगर मैं तभी ही वो decide कर लेती कि यार he's a bad person, he's a bad guy, he's bashing me up and but it's only my own realization कि he's not kind to himself. That's why he's not kind to me. He'll be so much at peace कि he does not mean it. He does not mean it. And I also tell him when he's calmer that do you want to reflect on this aspect? So that openness at that point helps because he is also willing to explore and have a conversation around it rather than just shoving it and saying that कुछ नहीं मैं सही था ऐसा होते रहता है, right? So not putting conflict under the carpet is also very, very, very important. I'm sorry we didn't cover it throughout the whole session, but conflicts are really important. It's important to have a disagreement and not putting it under the carpet to avoid fights and all. It does not help.
Bring it on the surface, talk about it.
Yeah. So that you can resolve it and then that snake is fast and it's not waiting for you. Okay, Bona, that hidden argument, the conflict which you avoid are like snakes under a carpet. आपने जब भी खोला वो रहना तो उधर ही.
And then last 10 years and last 15 years argument that we would have heard our parents say.
वो टाइम पे ऐसा बोला था.
Unresolved. Things are not
Yeah.
resolved and it is taking mental space for each of those individuals.
Correct. And it's always about perspective, no? Because you are looking it from one perspective, आपके लिए वो गलत है. आप सामने वाला का perspective ही नहीं ले रहे हो. फिर आप उसको अपने दिल में बसा के बैठ गए कि उसने ये गलती की थी. Using it 5 years later in an argument, now he does not remember because he had a completely different perspective than you have. So he will not even remember that argument that you had, right? So he'll go all bonkers कि ये क्या कौन से जमाने का क्या बोल रही है, कब हुआ था ये? Because you did not address it at that point. तो या तो एड्रेस नहीं करना है तो कंप्लीटली भूल जाओ, कभी वापस मत लेके आओ. और जब फॉरगिव करो, फॉरगिव कर सकते हो तो, राइट? नहीं कर सकते हो तो रिजॉल्व करो.
Okay, so thank you, Mansi. Thank you for coming and sharing all your views, all your experiences, observations. I thoroughly enjoyed and I resonate with each and everything that you said. Thank you.
I'm glad. Thank you so much for having me. I had a wonderful time talking, and I don't didn't even realize where time passed talking with you and sharing insights. I deeply love the job that I'm doing, and I love to help everyone. So totally wonderful time, and a wonderful thing that you are doing is by bringing all of these topics out so that people can learn from it. So a huge thanks to you for doing this.
My pleasure.